Alright, so in this video I'm going to hope to explain how I practice. Basically, the biggest issue with practicing is staying focused on what it is you're actually practicing and trying to avoid the wandering mind. Good short amounts of really focused practice time is so much more valuable than spending hours and hours practicing while being distracted the whole time. So let me see if I can lay this out for you. Basically, when I sit down to practice, I don't have my phone near me because that can be a distraction. And I always kind of practice at the same time, on the same drums, in the same room, at the same temperature, during the same time of day, blah, blah, blah. So I have this very specific habit built in, and it makes my practicing much more focused. The biggest thing I like to do is use timers, some form of keeping myself accountable to the amount of time that I'm actually focused on practicing. So, like, you can get these cheap little hourglass timers. They come in different lengths of time. This is a 2-minute. This is a 3-minute. A lot of times I like to practice for like maybe 5-minute intervals and then take a quick little break, like a 1-minute break, maybe 2 minutes, and then come right back and do another 5 minutes. And I work in these intervals like that for however long I have to practice. So let's say if I only have 30 minutes to practice, I can usually get in like 5 intervals of 5 minutes each, with little 1-minute breaks in between, and that basically eats up 30 minutes of time. And I need those little breaks in between to just sort of let my head clear and give my body and my head a little bit of rest. Because if I just practice for 30 minutes straight, I end up becoming very distracted very quickly. So maybe the first 5 or 10 minutes is pretty good, and then the last 20 minutes or 25 minutes of my practice time, I'm just thinking about other things, and I'm not really paying attention to what it is I'm doing. So that's why I use timers and do things in intervals. I first started doing this when I went to the Drummers Collective in New York City, and that was a period in my life where I was practicing a lot, like 8 hours a day pretty much. And I got into this thing where I would practice for about 15 minutes, and I would try to keep pushing, and I would just be so burnt out after 15 minutes. And there'd be like a lot of tension and a lot of stress, and I'd start get distracted. And it's because I was so focused on what it is I was doing for that entire 15 minutes that I just kind of burnt myself out. And that's when I really started taking little micro breaks and doing things in intervals. Up until that point, during my high school and college years, I practiced a lot. I was doing, similar amount of hours to when I was at the collective, 6, 8, sometimes 10-hour days or more. But I have to say that a lot of that was kind of a waste of time because I was very distracted and I wasn't super focused, and I was sort of going for the more time is good mentality. So counting my hours every day and using that as some sort of measure as my progress. But in reality, I could sit there for a whole hour doing something and then realize that I wasn't even paying attention to what I was doing. So it wasn't a very focused use of my time. I think it was still good just having the sticks in my hands and my feet on the pedals. But yeah, like I said, I developed this super focused interval way of practicing a little bit later once I got out of college and played around for a few years and then went to New York. And that's the way I practice today. I don't I haven't put in super crazy hours like that in a long time because I prioritize my time for other things. But when I do practice, it's super focused, and I do these short little, like, 5-minute intervals of really intensely focused practice time. Okay, so I hope that made sense. And what I'll do is I'll just sort of manifest, like, a few intervals. Lately I've been trying to teach myself how to play double kick, and which involves just sitting at a drum kit, and playing very boring basic exercises in my feet and very basic double kick beats with the full kit at, slow tempos, and just really trying to get everything super precise and everything really consistent. And so it's a very much sort of a technical exercise. I'm basically training my feet how to play this double kick pedal, and it can be kind of tedious and boring. So the timers really help for this because they keep me honest, because I could very well sit down to play some of these exercises and play for a little bit and be like, all right, that feels like that was about enough practice time, yet it's only been like 2 minutes. So the timers hold me accountable, and they make sure that I'm really putting in enough time when it comes to that sort of boring kind of stuff. I'll also point out, I just got this digital timer. Now it has 2 timers built into one, and what I can do is set like the top timer to 5 minutes, and then it beeps after 5 minutes, and then I'll set the bottom timer to 1 minute. And once the 5 minutes runs out, it automatically goes and starts counting down the 1 minute, and that's my little break time. And I get up from the kit, and I sort of walk around. I'll do some stretching. I'll loosen up my arms. I'll do a little breathing. Maybe I'll stare out the window for a minute, grab a sip of tea or something. And then the 1 minute beeps pretty quickly because it's only 1 minute, and it goes right back to that 5 minutes and starts counting down again. And that's when I jump back on the kit and practice for another 5 minutes. So this is the only timer I've found that could actually do that. There's probably some others, but super handy. So I've been really digging this. And also, before I do this little demonstration, in here is earplugs. I wear earplugs when I'm practicing loud, boring, technical things, because hearing all the little detail in there isn't as important as protecting my hearing in these situations. And I don't need to blow out my ears by playing, technical exercises. I will say I don't wear earplugs when I play music with people. I haven't for many years. I should also add that I do have a little bit of hearing damage as a result of that. But when I'm actually making music, trying to make music, and playing the instrument in that context, I find earplugs to really hinder my ability to hear all the necessary details in order to make the best music possible. So I don't wear them when I play music with people. But when I'm practicing loud things, just me on a kit, I do wear them. And, I wear them for a lot of other things. Using power tools, using a chainsaw, riding on a subway. Like any loud environment, I'm always sticking in earplugs. But when I play music with people, I don't use them. That's just me. But I do know quite a few others who feel the same way. And I know quite a few others that wear earplugs all the time. So something to think about. Okay, so I'm going to do a little time lapse. I'm going to do like 3 intervals of little practice, short little breaks, another interval, a little break, little interval, another break, and I'll time lapse that, and you can just kind of see what this looks like. This is how I practice. So I got plugs, I got my timer, and I got my metronome. I basically always practice with a metronome unless I'm doing things that don't require a metronome. Okay? All right, here we go. So there you go. That's basically an abbreviated version of how I practice using timers and intervals and just super focused practice and awareness of what I'm doing. So there's just a lot to pay attention to when you're practicing. So with this sort of double kick thing, you know, I played just the pedal a little bit and then I played a couple beats. And I'm just sitting on those very simple things, and I'm just really paying attention to how consistent am I rhythmically? What's the spacing between my notes? How consistent am I dynamically? Are all my kick drum notes the same volume? Where is the placement of my snare drum in relation to the metronome? How does this feel in my body? Does it feel the same when I'm playing 8th notes on the kick as when I'm playing 16th notes on the kick? How is my mix? Is my ride cymbal too loud? How is my body feeling? Is there tension in my arms? Where is my focus right now? Am I listening and really being present in the moment, or am I thinking about what's for dinner? Okay, so there's all kinds of things to be aware of, and if we're distracted when we're practicing, we're just not going to be aware of any of those things. So you're almost like, if you're practicing distracted all the time, you're almost anti-practicing. You're almost training yourself to play badly all the time. And so that can be a hindrance. Okay, so cool. I think that's the basics. I hope this helped, and I'll see you next time.